people have always been fascinated by the idea of the flying car. And it's 2021, we obviously don't have flying cars yet, but I do have Big Bertha, my Trike mobile, and she may not be a flying car, and this may not necessarily be legal, but I think with a little bit of movie magic, we can go from driving down the street to flying up in the sky. So obviously I've had my Trike mobile for a couple months now, since last September. And I wanted to tune in and give some long-term impressions on Big Bertha, aka the Trike mobile. If you want to get a Trike mobile like this, or an ozone glider, hit me up, info@tuckergott.com. I can get you set up with it. Quite honestly, this air is garbage. Oh, f*** all this. All this. So I'm gonna come in and land, and we can talk about all the wonderful features of Big Bertha safely on the ground. Yippee-ki-yay! Well, you see, what happened there was we were up in the sky and the wind was blowing really hard. Might have sharded a couple times. Anyway, one of the main concerns, my concern number one that I had about the Trike, was I was kind of scared about like all the shackles, the rigging, the buckles, the Velcro straps. It just it freaked me out. There was a lot going on and I like simplicity. When you look at the Trike for the first time, it's kind of overwhelming, but once you learn the system and you know what each part does, it's really not that bad. And the reason why the Trike is made the way it is so that you can disassemble it and reassemble it, fold it into a really small package like I did to bring it down to Florida, and then reassemble it and have your Trike in a new place. Turns out the whole process of like breaking down this motor for transport is pretty simple too. It maybe takes 15 to 20 minutes if you're taking your time and doing a good thorough job. The other thing I had a concern about in the beginning was when I'm taxiing really fast, the nose wheel would feel a little bit touchy. Like if you put too much pressure, it would throw you sideways, and I felt like it could get squirrely, but turns out I don't really think it's an issue because anytime you're taking off at a speed much slower than what feels squirrely. And even when I drove here just now, I was hauling the mail and I didn't feel that squirrely at all. So I think one, it's a learning curve. You get used to the feel for steering it on the ground. And two, you're never going fast enough that it's ever an issue when you're actually taking off with a glider. All right, so let's talk about some things I've come to love about the Trike mobile. First off, and this was apparent from the very beginning, touch and goes are super fun. I don't know why I never really expected that to be a thing, but just doing a traffic pattern and trying to grease your landing on the rear wheel, set down the nose wheel, taxi a little bit, power up, and just do a traffic pattern like all day long. It's super fun. So a couple days ago, I posted on my Instagram that I was going to make this video, and I asked you guys for questions that you want to hear answered. And one of the most popular questions was, would you use the Trike on something like an Icarus race or long distance cross-country flight? And I think it's a really interesting question because there's both a lot of good pros and some cons, but overall, I would say I would not use it for an Icarus race. First off, a big pro is that I think this harness is a lot more comfortable than your standard foot launch style harness. You're quite a bit more reclined in this one, and you can put your feet up or you can dangle your feet. I think it's a lot more comfortable to sit in for a long time. Second, and this is another huge pro, is you can load this thing up with a ton of gear, and you don't have to carry it because obviously it's a Trike. You're still limited to 5 US gallons of fuel by FR 103, but you can put all that fuel on with an auxiliary fuel tank. You can put tents, oil, food, water, all the essentials where the tandem passenger would normally sit. Another advantage is, like I just drove down the street, if you were doing a long distance race and you had to jet to a gas station, instead of carrying your gear on your back, you just go like a car down the street and get your fuel and come back. But I think one of the biggest disadvantages, and the main reason I probably wouldn't choose a Trike for a Icarus race, is because I think you're a bit more limited on your takeoff and landing options. Typically, I want a little bit of a bigger
space to launch and land the trike. Second, in rugged terrain, like rocky stuff, you're probably gonna do better on your feet than on the trike. And third, in higher wind situations, I think you're far better off ground handling and doing reverse launches, foot launch, than with the trike. And those are all things you would typically encounter on a long distance race. Let's talk tandems. Now, this is one of the biggest reasons why I got this trike in the first place. Previously, I had experience doing foot launch tandems, and I quickly realized that it can get extremely difficult. The trike makes the whole tandem experience so much easier and so much safer for both the pilot and the passenger. I've been doing some tandems on the channel, and I've done some off camera, and it's a new aspect of the sport that you can have all the fun by yourself, but then eventually you want to share some of that fun with other people, and that part just never gets old. Every time you take a new passenger, it's their first time experiencing flying in a paramotor, and their reaction is just kind of contagious. So let's talk a little bit about the power plant. This is a Moster 185 Plus with the 287 reduction drive. That's the non-standard reduction. It's the bigger reduction that spins 140 centimeter prop. Now, when I ordered this setup, I knew that this wasn't the most powerful engine to do tandems on, but I wanted to get this one for a couple reasons. There's two bigger 300cc engines that are supposed to be coming to market pretty soon. I kind of wanted to wait to get the bigger engine, but I didn't want to wait to start flying, so I went with something I knew. Pros of this engine, it's familiar. I've worked on it, I know how it operates. Parts are very easily accessible. Given the big propeller and the different reduction, it's very quiet, it's pleasant to fly, it's really smooth, and I still get pretty good fuel economy with this engine. So personally, I weigh about 155 pounds, and I've flown up to a 200-pound passenger on the Triox 38 meter. And with this engine, I would say that's about what my comfortable limit is. At that configuration, I can still climb out with ease. Now, it's not that necessary that I have the capability to carry people over 200 pounds, because I'm not going to be doing it often, but having more power would be nice. All right, let's just talk some concluding thoughts, additional notes. I've only foot launched this when I first initially got it, but one of the cool things is that this whole setup is so modular that you can foot launch it, you can solo trike, and you can tandem trike. So even though I haven't foot launched it since then, it's cool that I can. And it actually flew pretty dang well as a solo foot launch unit. Overall, the parts have held up really well. These cables, I've tightened up a couple times, which you just do with this little buckle up here to keep tension on them. The only real complaint I could say is up here where some of the metal parts touch other metal parts. Some of the paint has come off, but I think that's to be expected. Another thing that's cool about the Trike is I just feel safe flying it. I said it the first time I took off, I was like, I could just crash into a tree and be totally fine. I still kind of feel that way. When you go back to foot launching, it's like you feel exposed again, but then you get in this and it's like you have a roll cage. Overall, I would definitely recommend this Trike to a friend, especially someone that's looking for something that's modular and can be transported in a small package. It's not a one-trick pony, that's the phrase I was going for. It can do a lot of things. So I guess that leaves us with one task. We have to drive home, hopefully without getting caught by the police.
So check this out. Wing is stowed, camera bag is stowed, and it's so tight. This is how I gotta get in. Foot on there, hand up here. Oh, Bertha is so freaking robust. You can just climb on top of her and then do the little shimmy maneuver. Get your feet in the right holes. Down she goes. Buckle up. You know, I really hope I don't get chased by the police, but I mean, ideally I would get stopped by the police. They would question me and let me go, and I'd have the best of both worlds. Sick video title, and not arrested. Hey, prop! Just gonna make sure I didn't forget anything. Look at that turning radius! Grandma loves it. I hit a deer on my trike. Can you imagine the views? Don't be a cop, don't be a cop.
So we made it back safe and sound. I feel like I don't even have to tell you guys this because it's totally obvious. This road was closed. Any cars that were on the street were paid actors, and anything else was all special effects. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the impressions, the long-term impressions on Big Bertha, the Trike mobile. I think today and tomorrow are like the last 2 cold 30-degree days, and then spring's gonna be here, and it's gonna be awesome, and we're gonna do so much flying, go on so many adventures, make so many videos, so stick around for it. Drop a like if you enjoyed the video, and if you need a Fly Products Trike mobile, an ozone wing, hit me up, info@tuckergott.com. I'd be happy to give you recommendations. And also check out the Risky Biscuits Co merch link down in the description. We're pretty well stocked up on a lot of things right now, so check them out. Be sure to get your hands on it. All the cool kids are wearing Risky Biscuits Co merch. I'll see you guys in the next episode. Till then, have fun, fly safe, peace.